got one. You mentioned Razor and Apple. How do you see AI affecting Apple iPhones and apps? Is there going to be a need for apps? Or are they going to, you mentioned the old format of moving around in apps. What do you see in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. All these apps are going to disappear. They're all going to disappear. That's why all of these services are panicking, right? And you know, if you're a guy or gal that runs an enterprise software company, you're also panicking, thinking that all of your stuff is going to be subsumed behind things like Microsoft Copilot and things of that sort. If you're on a B2C company, right? Think about what a Delta Airlines or an Uber or the rest of them, you know, are going to feel. One day you'll just pop up in a Siri and say, "Hey, I need a car to the airport," and then get me a flight to Austin. What does most humanity and most middle class folks want? Just the lowest cost, the fastest way to get through their journey from point A to B. What do you care if you're going to be on an American Airlines or a Delta Airlines, and whether it's Uber or Lyft that picks you up? This is gonna be disruptive, and that goes to show why they're pouring such massive resources. The Apples, the Googles, the Facebooks, the Amazons are pouring tremendous resources because they're all battling for who's going to own the glass, and because that actually wags, you know, the dog in terms of all commercial transactions that happen after that. That's going to be true for the consumer side and also our working world as well.
So I have the microphone. Don't be shy. If you have a question, I'm going to walk to you and hand you the microphone. Somebody step up and raise their hand. Who's got a question?
I got more if no one else.
Gene's got more, so you got to help us out here.
You mentioned about Google and others pouring in money. So what secret sauce do you have to compete against them? I mean, they're pouring in and they're developing similar technology, similar things. Right? So how are you going to compete with those big guys?
Because I remember that they used to not exist, and if somebody asked them the same question, how are you going to compete with the incumbents, that they showed up and disrupted as well. It's a natural order of things, you know? One day, you know, you're a certain age, and then there's children, and there's grandchildren. It's a natural order of things that these things will essentially get disrupted. You know, Apple does a good job because they realize that they have to constantly cannibalize themselves. Some of these other entities, again, like I said, people may get frustrated and say, all right, you just want me to shove ads in people's faces. Maybe I don't want to do that anymore, and they end up going somewhere else. You see that disruption in the Bay Area constantly with these new brands. Here's what ends up happening, and this is a great point. Whenever you have massive technological shifts, right, from mainframe to PCs, you know, to web, you had mobile, you had social media coming in, you have cloud, and now you have AI. Here's what ends up coming. All of us as consumers, all of us as folks in the working world end up saying, hey, whenever I have this transition, I'm going to try a new brand all of a sudden. This is why retailers panic every time you have a big life event. You graduate, you move, you have kids, right? Whenever you have these big life events, they know you're suddenly not eating at Food Line anymore. You want to go to Harris Teeter. All of a sudden, you're not going to go to Harris Teeter anymore. You're going to go to Trader Joe's. Oh my God, now you're going to go to Whole Foods and things of that sort, or even more boutique food places. Whenever these life transitions happen, you get a promotion or things like that, you end up buying different brand cars and things of that sort. So now with this disruption with AI coming in, people are going to say, well, wait a minute, I'm going to try a new brand because the legacy providers that were messing around and they're not going to get me there, so let me try something new. And that's why you see the rise of AI-first companies like OpenAI, like Anthropic, like Cohere, like Pryon, and the like.
Hi. From a practical perspective, for new entrepreneurs, from a financial practical perspective, what's your suggestion in terms of a cushion that they should have before they, leave their cushion job and go into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't think it has a right answer, but it's not as much as you think. I had $74 left in my savings account when I started the last company. Because I actually refused to take an income from my investors. I just was dwindling that away. And after a while, they were trying to force me to take a salary. And I'm like, here's why I don't want to take a salary. I refuse to be a CEO who gets paid to fundraise. Until I see the first line of code laid into the coding system, I don't want a single penny from investors. I want to be a builder. You know, I want to build products and stuff like that, and I held on as long as possible. Thankfully, I got, still had $74 left, or thereabouts in my savings account. You don't need, if you're meant to be the subject matter expert that gives birth to something, you don't need the people that need cushion, it's like, yeah, because I'm not sure if it'll work out or not. Remember, the conquistadors burned their ships when they got here.
There have been some recent news stories about ChatGPT saying they need copyright information really to fulfill the promise of AI. You mentioned something about copyright. What's your view on that, and how is that all going to work out from a funding and revenue sharing relationship if you really need access to copyright material?
Yeah, just because I need to mow my lawn doesn't mean I'm allowed to break into your garage and steal your lawnmower. Yeah, I mean, so then people ask me, our thing's as accurate as GPT-4. I didn't have to steal anything because I'm not lazy. I know how to build it without other people's content. And everybody's like, well, how do you do it? Well, because we know something a little bit more exotic than that. We know seed data sets that are out there that you can properly license. Let's say the LDCs from UPenn as an example. And then I know how to make synthetic data around it. Sort of like, how do you make a synthetic diamond exactly the same way? It's similar to that physical process. They're just lazy. They just crawled the whole internet because they had all this extra compute in some ways, and they were able to smash everybody's content together. Because look at how Uber started. They break the law left and right, figuring that when they get really large, they'll just paper over it and try to legislate around it and work the regulations, and they'll ask for forgiveness later. It's a different sort of business style, if you will, than we typically see on the East Coast.
Next question? Okay. Frank, can I grab him real quick?
Thanks. Igor, as I was reading up on your current company, I'm kind of curious if you thought about bootstrapping it, given your past success, and you have apparently an impressive client list. So I'm kind of curious, why go out for outside money? Why not try and bootstrap it and continue that way?
Have you seen what the industry is paying AI scientists and engineers? I'd love to pay them in Halloween candy and things of that sort, but I have to lead to some market realities. And because look, I was also trying to hire a relatively mature R&D team as well, and there's certain realities that are associated with it. Plus, I like taking care of a team. I find it amateurish to not offer full healthcare benefits and things of that sort. Because if they don't worry about their families, then they can worry about the things that you need them to do that. So it's not practical for this. Bootstrapping tends to be more practical if you're making a more discrete application or a B2C thing, where a relatively small team can prove something out. But for something like this, even this round, I didn't need it to be 100. But it had to be one just for people to take us seriously with all of the capital that's flowing into the system. Because remember, I have to survive financial viability tests by some of these large-scale customers. Is that being streamed live, or is this for posterity?
This is being streamed live,
All right.
and it's also for posterity.
Okay. Well,
So I'm not giving you any choices.
ask for it, I'll tell you. Next week at Davos, we'll be revealed as the AI for the World Economic Forum. All their strategic intelligence, everything in the world flowing into one place. So here we are in North Carolina, we're going to have a bigger seat at the table than people realize. There's other things coming. Like, imagine the sum total of human knowledge about all nuclear power on the platform. While they're trying to play games and change your head into cartoonish clowns and things of that sort, I've been trying to figure out, hey, who keeps the hospitals running? Who keeps the lights on? I want to help them. Everybody else can do all this other stuff. I kind of like the fact that all of us can turn on the faucet and get clean water. That's thrilling to me. Maybe I'm boring. That's why I'm wearing a tweed coat. I kind of like that.
Let's take one more question from the audience.
Yep. You said one more?
One more from the audience.
Cool. And then please nobody leave. I have an announcement to make at the end here.
Loved your tidbits about North Carolina's history in AI, but looking at it today, kind of give us an evaluation of the triangle in terms of the ecosystem for AI entrepreneurship. What's strong, what's missing?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything wrong per se. Remember, this is going to become a special environment for AI because the Apple presence here is going to be mostly centered around machine learning. That's not so bad. You have SAS here, obviously Cisco, Lenovo, the LAS site, right, for the NSA on NC State's campus. So there's some special opportunities here. But look, I work night and day. I don't need people to work on SAS time. I need people to work, at a different sort of tempo because there's a big market opportunity to be captured here. So, but you have to just drive your passions into it. That's why, Epic, right, was able to attract, folks that were really excited about disrupting, their industry as well, and that's the style of individuals that we need. The rest people can get on the job training, but I think we have the intellectual capacity, to be a world leader in some form or fashion. When I sit at tables and there's out of market pharma CEOs that come here and things of that sort, I tell them, hey, here's the type of AI that can be born in the Southeast. It, by its very nature, could be the most responsible AI that's born because of some of our respective backgrounds, trainings, influences, and things of that sort. But we have to want it too. Look, somebody's going to win at this. This is what I tell my team every day, as I just came from Austin. I'm like, look, somebody's going to win this category that we're in, so it might as well be us. That's it. Figure it out if you want to be part of a team that's going to do that. And look, I'm not coin-operated. I'm not trying. But at the same time, I will say this. I never want you to be in some documentary 30 years from now with misty eyes talking about how you got divorced and your kids didn't know you, but at least you built special products and things like that, like people would say about Apple or things like that. It's like find a way through that. There's a way for you to be at top of your field in your art and science that you choose, while at the same time not letting all the other things that are important to you drop. That's what I'm trying to find, and it's not a balance; it's an integration.
Love the example you just gave with the
Can I sneak in one last question?
Sure.
All right. Did the injured dolphin survive, and when will we be able to talk to animals?
The injured dolphin did not survive. And remember, as children, we only remember the stuff that's really happy and the really sad. So that kind of, was something that would shake anybody up. The guy who invented the polygraph for the CIA, decades ago, ran an experiment, and he harmed an insect in the presence of plant life, and found that they emitted worry and chemical signatures that made them aware of their environment around them. When we can finally talk to the environment around us, I think we'll be better stewards of it, because we're knuckleheads when it comes to the environment around it, and that's me doing a gross understatement and trying to be as polite as possible because of these cameras. But it's going to be entirely plausible. Look, we have to figure out how to talk to them. If we have any hope, if people think that we're going to talk to ET one day, and I'm like, here's the funny part. We put these golden records on Voyager to try to talk to alien life. We put signs around our swimming pools for our children that say, do not run. And they can't even understand them. Right, so how are we going to do that? Now, of course, what's waiting for us at near the end of this year that we're all worried about? We have an election. And disinformation. This is going to be the first one that's affected by AI in a major way. I actually spoke about the intersection between AI and disinformation and great power competition with Lieutenant Colonel Vindman at one of the recent South by Southwest. That was before all this ChatGPT. with troll farms and things like that, A/B testing and trying to affect our communities to have, one population of the U.S. antagonizing the other, population of the U.S. That's going to go into overdrive. See, and people like me are trying to warn people ahead of time to say what? Here's what you can expect. Here's what you can expect. Imagine you're a farmer and you're tending your land with a tractor. Some stranger shows up and says, hey, you know what? Stop using that tractor. It has the power of Satan inside of it. And what you should do instead is take your horse and go ahead and plow this land manually, just like you used to. Right? And that person believes this mysterious stranger. All of a sudden they can't produce and they lose their farm. Next thing you know, the stranger owns a farm. That's what's going to happen. If you hear anything that's far this and far that is meant to stir you into emotional tizzy, I just shrug and I'm like, you know what? That may be not an American voice that's trying to tell me this. It's something overseas that's trying to disrupt what we're trying to accomplish here together. And they can go pound sand as far as I'm concerned. And we shut it off. That's what we have to do. And we can't allow certain politicians that are going to try to take advantage of that situation to try to get in. It's not worth it. And that's why I recently joined Ry Barcott's entity with honor on their board as well, where they're trying to get bipartisan representation on both sides in order to at least get people talking to each other. And hopefully we can make it through okay. Those are some of the bigger things that at play as well. At the same time, I don't want to be part of these carnivals that you're seeing, at the federal level with the AI stuff as well, where they're trying to worry people about it. When we used to think that American technology was useful, we were able to walk on moons and things of that sort, and we trusted, science and medicine and things of that sort. We need to recapture that spirit while we still lead in innovation in all of its forms, including AI and quantum and everything else that's coming.
Well, those are some great words, and I appreciate the broader impact and how you see AI fitting in that. I want to close with a kind of fun question. You said, what's your most underrated app on your phone? What's the most underrated app on your phone?
Oh, I think I mentioned that. I like the off button. That's the best one. That's literally the best one. What else is there? Because then guess what? You get to be in a room like this with people and you get to say, hey, this is the most important thing that I'm doing at this point in time. Otherwise, I shouldn't be here, right? That's what ends up happening when you know where the off button is on this technology. I hate to say this because I was, first to have emails and first to have web and internet and social and mobile and this and that, and first to have cloud and stuff like that, and first to have AI, one of the first to have all sorts of stuff. And now on the other side, I'm like, and my parents are both artists. Now I see the wisdom of the thing that I really love about AI is it allows us to be more human in some ways, where we can interact with something the way that we would interact with each other, and then it should get the heck out of the way. But for me, think about how telling it is that most big tech executives try for their kids not to interact with tech. It's sort of like tobacco executives not giving their family members cigarettes. That should be a poker tell.
Well, thank you very much. This has been a great conversation. We want to thank the Chatham Journal. We want to thank 79 West and Innovate Carolina. And if you would give an applause to thank our guest, Igor. Thank you for being here. We are going to do many more of these throughout the year. And Dustin has one more announcement for us before you go.